But I want to talk about the main event a little bit. Okada wins the New Japan Cup as I thought would happen, as I predicted on the flagship a couple weeks ago, as many people predicted. I don't want to pretend I'm some kind of savant. And he defeats Sonata in the final in a match that everyone seems to agree was a great match. I have it at about 4.5. They worked it like a traditional big time, big show New Japan main event with the super dramatic closing stretch. Lots of hot action, lots of dramatic near falls. It's an Okada closing stretch, so you know you had all kinds of creative and dramatic counters and things of that nature. I thought Sonata was right there with him all the way. Very good match. I've seen some people have it as their match of the year to this point. So definitely a match well worth going out of your way to see. And he'll take on Jay White. And just as I said when I thought that Okada would win the New Japan Cup, I think that he will then also defeat Jay White for the title at MSG. I think it just makes too much sense. Forget the fact that Kenny Omega said the original plan was for Omega to drop this title to Okada at Madison Square Garden. Put that aside, although that to me is very clearly clue number one that we're going to see a title change here with Jay White in the role of Kenny Omega. Put that aside for a moment, okay? It just makes too much sense otherwise for Okada to win the title here from White. It puts a perfect bow on this story of Jay White telling Okada to his face that he's going to backstab him, which he then did. And then being a thorn in Okada's side from that point forward, defeating him twice in the G1 and then at Wrestle Kingdom. Clean as a sheet at Wrestle Kingdom. So Okada defeating Jay White for his title on the biggest stage possible, on a worldwide stage in Madison Square Garden, avenging all of those other defeats, giving the heel his comeuppance after months and months and months of this guy agonizing him, and taking that title from him in Madison Square Garden in front of 18,000 fans, WrestleMania weekend, and then celebrating as the Okada Bucks fall from the sky, sending the fans home happy with a huge Kazuchika Okada IWGP title win. New Japan able to say that they had a IWGP heavyweight title change on the books in Madison Square Garden. All of these factors, it just makes way too much sense for Okada to win the title from Jay White next week in Madison Square Garden. It is the proper play, and it is the right thing to do. Because they also have 2 domes to fill at the end of the year. Back-to-back Tokyo Dome shows in January. And one of those main events undoubtedly is going to be Kazuchika Okada versus Tetsuya Naito. The rematch from 2 years prior, where Naito got overconfident. Okada stunned the world and retained the title. So you begin the build to the biggest match that New Japan has, and you begin that build right now. Okada wins on MSG on the biggest stage possible. Naito takes care of business in the G1. And from the moment that Tetsuya Naito hits the Destino on the final night of the G1, you begin the build to the biggest match that New Japan can do on January 4th. That's the match. And you begin the build to that match with all eyes on you in Madison Square Garden the first week of April. I am stunned that people are coming at us with, it's too soon to beat Jay White. You can't beat Jay White in his first defense. You're going to kill off Jay White if he loses this match. You're going to bury Jay White if he loses this match. You're throwing all of the hard work you did to get Jay White over away if he loses to Okada. Nobody wants to see Okada win the title again after that long run that he had that ended last year. Do you know how foolish all of that sounds? Jay White would not be hurt with a loss to Okada in this match. As I noted, he already beat Okada twice. He's already defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi twice. He beat him in the G1. And he beat him for the IWGP Heavyweight title. Jay White has numerous huge wins under his belt already. He's been built up. Jay White, and listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. Okay? Jay White is a made man. You don't have to worry about Jay White. Jay White loses nothing. Nothing at all if he loses that match to Kazuchika Okada at Madison Square Garden. It's Kazuchika Okada. It's the man who had the greatest IWGP title run of all time. It's an all-time New Japan. Scratch that. He's an all-time great in wrestling history, period. Let alone New Japan history. You can absorb a loss to that guy, especially when you've defeated him already twice, and you're undefeated against the guy coming into the match. It's not a big deal. This does not derail Jay White in any way, shape, or form. Jay White gets enough of a rub just being in this match, in the main event in Madison Square Garden against Okada with that title on the line on a show of this magnitude. Some of you are out of your minds. There's a million reasons why Okada should, and probably will, win this match. You don't need to protect Jay White anymore. Jay White is a made guy. And this title run helped make him. Even if it ends in Madison Square Garden. It established him as a top guy, capable of holding that belt. People get too wrapped up in this idea that a loss is going to be completely derail someone's career. People get way too wrapped up in that stuff. Did Kazuchika Okada losing the title right back to Hiroshi Tanahashi after one defense or whatever it was, did that derail him? How's he doing? Did Tetsuya Naito's little, when he won the title a couple years ago and then lost it right back, did that derail him? Did he fall down the cards? How's he doing? Is he not a big-time star anymore? Did fans lose faith in Tetsuya Naito? When Tetsuya Naito lost his challenge to Okada in the Tokyo Dome 2 years ago, we had to hear all this stuff too. They've destroyed Naito! They've killed him! They killed him dead! New Japan is going to free fall. Don't pretend those takes weren't out there. I've got the receipts. And they were foolish. When you've got top stars like this going against each other, it's okay if someone loses. It's not going to kill. You can't kill off made guys. You cannot do it. And I think the problem here might be that people don't realize that Jay White is a made guy. He's a top guy now. And here's the other thing. Jay White's big money drawing future is as a babyface. I really hope you people realize that. I don't know when that turn is coming. Probably not anytime soon. But he's 26 years old. He came up in the company for both personal reasons I'm not going to get into and professional reasons. He has no designs on leaving the company. They're giving him the push of his life. He's main eventing Madison Square Garden. He's the king of the world right now. And they believe in him. And his push isn't going away. And at some point, he's going to be a big-time drawing babyface champion in this company. The fans are going to turn him. They're not ready yet. They like booing him. The fans like booing him. So it's not going to happen yet. But the fans are going to turn this guy. And Gato, the puppet master, will pull the right strings and make sure they do that. They begin to do so when the time is right. The seeds will be planted for that. That's down the line. But concerning the here and now, he would not be hurt by losing to Okada. And listen, you're going to hear a lot of that shit. If Okada does in fact win the title back, and I do believe that's the only choice here. If Okada does win that title back in MSG, if you're on Twitter, if you're sitting in Madison Square Garden and you hear the fans talking next to you, you're going to hear all that crap. You're going to hear all this utter nonsense, how it's a terrible call. They're killing Jay White. They're destroying his momentum. And Gato is the worst booker in the history of wrestling. Gato's the village idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. New Japan doesn't know what they're doing. It's all noise. It's just noise. We've been hearing it for 7 years. I think this company has enough of a track record where they've proven that they know what they're doing in terms of star creation and building their business. The right call, the only call in Madison Square Garden is for the Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, to put away his nemesis, the thorn in his side, Jay White, with a Rainmaker, center of the ring, no reversals this time, no counters. As we hear the clank of the change and the music hit, and 18,000 celebrate the return of the Rainmaker. Get fired up! It's WrestleMania weekend! Get into it! See you Thursday on the TV reviews.